When the OnePlus 15 was first announced, the buzz was pretty crazy. The spec sheet seemed almost too good to be true, and it finally seemed like this would be the device that put OnePlus ahead of the other Android manufacturers in North America. With that 7300 mAh battery and being one of the first phones in North America to launch with the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, 120Hz display, 160 FPS gaming, like the list goes on. And then the embargo lifts and we start seeing those day one reviews from the typical sources. Now, before you go jumping to any conclusions, I'm not calling anybody out, I'm not calling anyone a liar, and I'm not trying to start any drama on YouTube. Because frankly, and for whatever reason, people took the opinions of a very small number of reviewers, which weren't even that bad to begin with, and then blew it way out of proportion. And so I'm just here to show you that maybe we should take the whole OnePlus 15 camera sucking thing with a grain of salt. So a few days ago, I flew into New York City for an event and decided that I'd take the OnePlus 15 with me to play with the cameras and snap a couple photos. So a few days prior to the trip, I posted this video just showing off the body of the phone and talking about the overall specs, and the general buzz in the comments was excitement. And as you can see, the video did go viral. And then lo and behold, on embargo day, before I even watched a single video about this phone, I could tell based on all the comment notifications that I was getting that some big channel must have said the cameras were no good. No word of a lie, my phone was being flooded and it was so blatantly obvious. At the time, I was out for dinner with a bunch of other creators and I said something must have happened because the comments have completely shifted. The next 24 hours were filled with people telling me how crappy they were, how they wish that they were better, they should have never left Hasselblad, the display on the phone sucks, like it just went on and on and on. And again, this was on embargo day, meaning people just gained the ability to order the phone. So if the majority of people don't even have the phone in their hands yet, how could this be everyone's general experience? But regardless, with the little free time that I had on the trip, I still went out around the city and snapped some pics with the camera anyways. So let's take a look at them and you can be the judge. And to make things interesting, I'll throw in a couple iPhone photos as well. So drop a comment below on the numbers you think were iPhone. Now look, I get it, things like this are always going to be subjective, but I don't think that any of these photos sucked. Oh, and in case you didn't realize, every one of those photos was from the OnePlus 15. Not a single one of them came from my iPhone. And as always, if you made it this far in the video, feel free to drop 2 black hearts down in the comments so I can thank you personally, and consider subscribing because we're trying to hit 60K before Christmas. Anyways, back to the video. Now, I think what's most funny to me is that the OnePlus 13 was actually my favorite Android phone from the earlier part of this year. And that was thanks in part to how the photos looked coming directly out of camera. And in my opinion, unless you're looking for it, like really looking for it, it's hard to tell the difference between photos coming from the 13 and photos coming from the 15. Like the 15's a little bit softer, but it's really not that far off. Now, obviously things have changed a little bit considering there's no more Hasselblad collabs, so you're missing out on some of that color science. But at the end of the day, this is all just computational photography. Like that's all that these smartphones do these days. So sitting there and talking about, oh, it's a downgrade in sensor, this was actually found on the Galaxy A52, blah, 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 blah. It really doesn't matter. Because again, you just saw the photos that came directly from this phone and they look completely different than what you see on the A52 5G. And that's again because of computational photography. And on top of that, how many people are taking photos on their phone to do anything other than keep them as memories or post them on social media? And despite the fact that most people are just saving them for memories and social media, the majority of people I know still take the time to adjust the brightness and the contrast of the photos anyway, which in my humble opinion is the only tweak that some of these photos needed. But seriously, even those photos coming out of the iPhone that you see at the Apple's keynote, or the ones that your favorite content creators posting on IG, are all edited in Lightroom before they get posted. That's just a normal part of the average person's workflow now. Unless your intention is to take these photos and blow them up for like a billboard or something, they are fine. So to sit there and say that the phone is now overpriced because of the cameras and completely neglect the 7300 mAh battery, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, the 16 or 12 gigabytes of RAM, depending on which one you buy. That's absolutely crazy because they're giving you so much with this phone. And even if you do somehow still think that the cameras are subpar, you're getting all of these crazy specs for the same price as an iPhone 17, a base model iPhone 17. And I'm not going to spend much time on this one because I think it's completely ridiculous, but complaining about the difference in panel on the 15 versus the 13. Yes, the OnePlus 13 has a 1440p screen compared to the 1272 of the OnePlus 15, but I constantly look at these screens side by side, and unless somebody told me that, I would have no idea. But I know how this whole YouTube thing works, so somebody's gonna call me a shill, someone's gonna say that this video was sponsored by OnePlus. Yes, OnePlus did give me both the 13 and the 15, but they didn't ask me to sign any contracts other than to say I wouldn't talk about the phones before embargo. No money exchanged hands, there was no obligation to make any videos. These are all just my opinions based on the things that I'm seeing. And at the end of the day, the iPhone is still my personal device. This is the one that my personal SIM is in, whereas my Android phones have my business SIM. But again, I'm not calling anybody out. I just notice this trend in the tech space all the time. A big channel comes out, says what their opinion is on a product, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. So I'm not saying that that person is right or wrong. What bothers me is all the other channels underneath that just take that opinion and run with the same narrative. And then all the people who've never ever used the device also flood the comments of other creators with that same narrative as well, essentially calling me a liar because my experience is completely different. So do with this information what you will. If at the end of the day you still think the cameras suck, I mean, you're entitled to that opinion, and we can just agree to disagree because there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, I think the world would be a better place if people just got more comfortable with that. But anyways, that's pretty much it from me. Much love as always, throwing up 2 of them, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.